Hello, everyone. It's Thursday night. Woohoo! Are we excited? I've got to get myself all pumped up because it is Thursday night. And when I say it's Thursday night, I mean literally it has been 4 days, right? And so we are going through the week. We are coming to, I guess, the end of our week. We get to have some fun for the weekend. I hope everybody's going to have some fun for the weekend. So jump in the chat, say hello. Hello, Parina. I see you there. Margie, welcome. Jody, welcome. There are lots of you popping in, and I want everybody to jump in, say hello, and let me know how your day is going. So this has been, for many of our students, this has been back to school week. I know that those of you guys up on the East Coast, you still get a couple of more weeks until you start school. And there may be a few others that are still out there waiting for school to start. But for a lot of us, our kids all went back to school this week. So it's been a random, everybody getting back into the swing of things. So, right. So welcome, Georgette. Welcome, Susan. Welcome, Renee, Elena. Hello to you all, Lana. Yeah, so I'm excited. Tonight's going to be so much fun. And I purposely do this session on Thursday nights because we're rounding the corner, like I said, into the weekend, and it's been a long week, depending on how your week has been going. And for me, this is the most exciting part of the college admissions process, because this is where your student gets to really shine. They get to show who they are. And I just have to share, this was such a timely situation today. So I was going through working today, meeting with students and all of those things. And I checked my email, and I had an email from a parent who was in my Accepted Academy last year in the valedictorian program. And the email was like, "Hey, Gina, I just wanted to check in and let you know that," she was telling me that her son had just left for college. And she said, "I don't know if you realize this," which I did, but she was like, the school he got into was his number one choice. And he got in, he got scholarships, and she said, he and I were talking about it on the road to college, to take him up there this past week. And we were talking about his essay, and he was saying how the essay, and he and I were talking about how the essay became more fun, and it showed showed a side of him that he said he wouldn't have been able to show if he hadn't really dove in and been pushed to develop that uniquely you and figure out who he was, and to bring that in. And so that just blessed my heart, because I was like, okay, tonight's the night I'm talking about this. And I know I know how much of an impact it makes, not only on the essays, but the whole college process. And so just to get that little encouragement from a parent today was just perfect, as we're rounding into this topic. So hello, Margie. Hello, Michelle. Lori, everybody is here, and I am super, super excited. Yeah, Michelle, it was super sweet. It really was. It just completely made my day. So we are going to jump in, and I'm not going to wait. We're going to jump in. We're going to talk about the Uniquely You, how that fits into that the holistic application. And I'm going to share with you what it is and how you can help your student find it. Now, before we jump into that real quick, I do want to make sure, and I'll repeat this at the end, but tomorrow we will not meet tomorrow evening. Okay. So tomorrow evening, hi, Ari, I'm ready for day 4 too. So tomorrow evening you get off, you can catch up all the videos if you've missed any of them. If you've missed pieces of them and you want to just go back and listen again, they are all in the Facebook group, or they're on the YouTube channel. So you can hit them, you can rewatch them. The replays are there. So just make sure, if you're on YouTube, that you subscribe to my channel, and you will be able to go in and see all of those videos. If you're in the Facebook group, I still would love for you to head over to to YouTube and subscribe, so you get all that updated information. But they're also right here in the Facebook group, and you can check them out there as well. Then Saturday morning, this is very, very important. So Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Central Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, and noon for those of you on the East Coast, we are going to wrap this up, and I'm going to walk through the application process as a whole. And that's where I'm going to talk about your letters of recommendation. I'm going to talk about your your resumes. We're going to talk about all of those pieces, and you'll see how they tie in, how I have you address those. And so you're going to want to make sure that you're here on Saturday. And I also will be giving away the test prep program, the test prep in a box, on Saturday morning. So tonight's our grand prize winner for Accepted Academy's Purposeful Parent. So we have that tonight, the other one on Saturday, and then Monday night, I'm going to wrap up with a final teaching on just how to develop out your college list, what to look for, how to find a balanced list, and just kind of show you behind the scenes of what I do and how I come and help students figure that out. So I decided to add that as a bonus night. So it is going to be Monday night. If you can be here, same time, both channels, all of that. But let's jump in tonight and get started with our Uniquely You and learning what you need to know about this process and how to stand out. So let me get the slides going, and we are ready to get going. Okay, so what makes you unique? And that's what we're going to talk about, because in the college admissions process, we are so focused, and so many of the times we definitely have to do all the things that are the demographics and all of that. But how do we go beyond that? So again, I'm not going to spend time on this. You guys, I think, know me by now. You know all my credentials. If you haven't seen that, watch one of the other videos. I definitely have a lot of experience in what I'm doing, and I'm a thought leader in our industry, and I'm very proud of that. And it's something that I am extremely passionate about, helping kids like all of these students who were part of my valedictorian program last year, a small percentage of our students who not only got accepted, but several got full rides to the colleges of their choice, which was pretty amazing. I have to share the young lady at the top that's got the TCU. She applied. She got into TCU. She got into a science scholar program. She wants to go into the medical field, but she ended up with a full ride to TCU, and they showed up at her door with balloons. It was pretty amazing. So she was a little excited. So after a lot of just thought and everything, a full ride for 4 years was kind of top on her list. So that was a really exciting moment. Many of our students in these pictures all walked away with scholarships, and they're going to their dream schools. And that's what's so exciting to me. Okay, so first of all, I want to say to you, I want you to start when we talk about the U-Niquely-U, I want you to start where you're at. It's going to be really easy if you're a senior parent to feel like, oh my gosh, it's too late. How am I going to impact all of those things? So the younger you are, the more you can use the U-Niquely-U to build out your application over the 4 years. That's why so many families begin working with me younger, because over those 4 years, they can begin to know how to help their child, what to do, and how to build those out. But for those of you who are seniors, what I will tell you is that while you may not be able to go back 3 years and implement so much of this, but you can still pull from the things that you've already done, the things that are already in place, and you still have a few months ahead of you that you can implement some different things to help really build out that U-Niquely-U. So the student that I mentioned a minute ago, whose mom sent me an email, I mean, when we started, he was a senior and he didn't think he had a U-Niquely-U. He didn't think that there was anything that was super, different about him or unique. And as we pulled that out, he really began to shine. So I do want to encourage you, before we go forward, do not get overwhelmed. But the big thing to remember if you're younger is you want to have that 4-year plan. The earlier you start, the more impact you can have. And again, don't panic. I said juniors, seniors, those of you who feel like, oh my gosh, we're, rounding the corner. But the most important thing you can do is take inventory of where you are as we go through this and fill in the blanks. And then how can you use what you already have? Or if you're lacking, how can you build or bring in something that's not already there? Okay. So what is U-Niquely-U? So let's talk about this. So your U-Niquely-U is what tells the admissions office basically what makes you different from all the other smart, talented students who are applying to the same college as you are. We've already talked about that so many of these colleges have 40, 50, 60,000 applications. They're accepting, 1,500, 1,800 students. So we have a lot of smart, talented kids applying to all of these schools. So what's going to make your child stand out? So we've talked about all the gatekeepers up to this point. We've talked about how they look at your school profile. We've talked about how they look at your students' grades. We've talked about, advanced classes. We've talked about test scores. All of that is an important component, but that is just one piece. So once they know, okay, yes, you can be academically successful. Now, based on all of that, every student is given a different score depending on the strength of their academics. But then when they get over to the next area and they're looking at all of these students, they've got to figure out which ones they're going to accept. And it's not about what you do, but it's about who you are. If you remember on one of the first days I read, from I think it was the Wall Street Journal, where it talked about college admissions officers saying that they want to know who the kids are, what makes that student authentic, and who are they. And so when our students begin to do the applications, they don't always think about this piece. They think, oh, I just got to fill in the questions and I don't even know what that means. So how am I going to incorporate that? But this is the cornerstone of your student's college application. It is by far, outside of your academics, the most important piece. Okay. So when we talk about that, let's talk about what what the colleges want to know. So what they do, they want to know what they do not already know. So like I said, you've already filled out your demographics. They know what your family makes as an income. They know where you live. They know where you were born, basically, where you've gone to school. You're literally a statistic at this point. You're a number. You're all of these things. So then how do you go from being that number over into being a person that I suddenly feel a connection to? For me, this is a great example. We're on, I'm working with you guys. I'm pouring into you. When we started out the week, I didn't really know much about any of you. I didn't know who was going to come, who wasn't, those type of things. You were names on a list. Now I've been able to know, like Wendy and Lori and Michelle and Margie and all of you guys who are coming in every night, who have gone in and told me things in your homework, who have, connected with me. So you've gone from being a name on social media to being a person who I feel a connection to. When it's the same thing. When you came in, you saw my picture, you knew my statistics, but now you know me. You've gotten to know me. So that's what we're looking to do in the same respect in the college admissions space. We're a counselor who is looking at a bunch of students, a bunch of names, who have been assigned a number based on all of these demographics. So now what I want to know is how I can relate to you. What are your passions? What are the values that you're going to bring to my university? What are your interests? Do you have interests that align with the interest of our university? What is your character, the goals, your unique talents? And kids always think, oh, well, I don't play an instrument. I'm not in sports. I don't, do all of these things. But your talents are so much more than that. So you got to dig deeper and find, what are the talents? What are the things that you do that are your hobbies and your interest? And how can those tie in to your education and help you further your life and your career and all of the things that you're going to do? And then what is the impact that you want to make on a campus? When I first look at your application, I do not know any of these things. So what I'm trying to do is figure out, do you fit my university? Every university has a mission statement. It has values. Each department has missions and values. And we are looking for a certain student that is going to align and fall in place within what we're trying to achieve at our university. And so when I'm able to see what makes you unique, what makes you who you are, and I'm able to connect and relate to you, then I know you're a right fit. And that literally moves the needle on your application in a greater way than you think it does. So again, why is it important? Because they're looking to see depth in your application. Colleges are looking to create a well-rounded student body made up of a variety of students who have shown commitment to their interest and find their emerging interest and grow in it. That is what they're looking for. They want you to become an expert on your favorite topic. So the good news is that for some of you guys, you may have been out there and you've already, you have a big, robust resume. You've done a million different things. You have a lot of different interests, and that's great. There is nothing wrong if you have interest in multiple areas. But for some students, they literally have one area that they are so focused on, and they're able to go really deep. And that is huge, because then I'm seeing all of those interests, all of those things emerge so that we can begin to expand what we're doing and our decisions. So we are looking for those students that are going deep. Okay. So again, colleges are looking for a well-rounded class made up of uniquely you, lopsided students. They want students who, A, can contribute with both in the classroom and on campus. 2, that they're passionate about their beliefs and interests. 3, that they're reflective. 4, they want to know you. Okay, so they want to know who you are. They want to know your story. So the biggest mistake our kids make is that they just put down facts. They just put down everything in a random, let me just tell you, I did this and I did this and I attended this. And many of our kids' essays read literally, they read like a resume. And that's not what we want. They answer the short answers when they ask, why do you want to attend this university? Or why do you want to major in this? And it's the number one thing that kids say when they ask, why do you want to attend our school? Well, because you have the best business school out there. You have the best engineering department. That's not what they're looking for. How do your values, how does the things that you really love and why you're majoring and what you're majoring in, and how does that align with what they're doing? Are they a research university? Do you want to be doing research? Do they have a program? Do they have a study abroad? What do you know about that department? And so that's all an important piece, and our kids have to know how to do research. So our younger students, I would say, really help your kids start researching not just colleges, but majors. It doesn't matter if they're young, if they're going to major in something or not. Teaching them how to go out and look and find the information is huge. And then attend those live and virtual admissions courses or admissions events that they have. They have them all over the place right now, not just in person, but they have tons of them online. So you can definitely attend there. You can also reach out to a professor or a student or connect on social media with that school to learn more about those programs. And then they want to know what makes you tick, what makes you who you are. I'm sorry, I just started laughing. Kathleen said, I'm sorry I'm late. I had to feed our horses and chickens. I live in the country, Kathleen, so I completely can relate to that, but welcome. Okay, so where are you going to use these things? So you're going to use it in your entire application. And I think that's what the students don't realize. They just think, oh, this personal essay is the only thing, that personal statement essay is really the only place I can show everybody who I am. And that's not true. You're going to want to create resumes that show all of these things as well, instead of just saying, oh, I attended, I play football, or I play, I play tuba in the band. Then you're going to want to expand on that and talk about that passion. Now, it has to be short and concise, and your resume has to stay within 2 pages. And we'll talk about that on Saturday morning. So I'm not going to get into that now, but you still want to show these things in your resume. The personal statement essays, the supplemental essays. We talked yesterday about how many essays your student is most likely going to write. I was going through one particular school with a student today, and it was like, holy cow. I mean, there was like 7 essays by the time we pulled them all out. And we were both just like, okay. And if you're going to be applying to honors colleges, that's even more. So you have to be able to tell your story in a different way in every essay, so that you're not saying the same thing over and over and over again, but yet it is all cohesive and it all connects. Letters of recommendation. I work with students to build out letters of recommendation packets where they're able to take those and hand them to their teachers, to teachers or other people, their counselors or other people who are going to actually be writing those recommendation letters. Do you know that the average counselor is 476 students to 1 counselor? Many of our counselors, I have had so many kids this year where the counselor retired or decided not to continue teaching or change schools or decided to go a different way. So they have brand new counselors their senior year. What do you do? What if you've never met your counselor? So in those respects, your counselor is the one that's going to be, they're required to write letters and all of the data and turn all this information in on your behalf. If they've never met you, what kind of, they're going to write a general form letter where they basically fill in your name, and that checks the box, but it doesn't add any I guess massive value to your application because they're not speaking to you. So the more you give to them, the better those are going to come out. So that's a big part too. Some schools have interviews. If they offer an interview with an alumni or with an in-person or an online one, you're going to want to do those interviews. Not every school offers interviews. But the other thing too is that when you set it, you can set up appointments to go in and talk to admissions counselors, to learn about the school or attend the online virtual ones. And your counselor has a chance to meet you. Most schools all have counselors that hit regional areas. So if you're out of state, reach out to the out of state counselor. Make sure that you're connecting with them. If they have, we've had fewer of these because of COVID, but typically a lot of schools will hold an out-of-state event, or an alumni association will hold an event, and you can go to those events. I remember when I was going through this with my own daughter, there was a particular university that was out of state, and they said, oh, we're having an alumni event, come learn. And they brought in all the recruiters and those type of things, and they said, we're going to draw, somebody's going to win $1,000 scholarship tonight. So it was a great draw for them. So look for those type of things. Campus visits, you're going to use it. So you need to know all of those things. And you want to make sure that you're using it anywhere and everywhere. Debbie, I will be talking about the recommendation letters tomorrow and who you need to get them from and all of those things. So, I mean, not tomorrow, Saturday. So hold on to the question because I will dive in and answer that in depth on Saturday. So Saturday is all resumes. It's all about letters of recommendations. It's all about putting where you're applying, what the deadlines for applying are. So everything that goes around applying, we're going to dive into on Saturday. So hopefully that'll help answer your questions as we move forward. You're welcome. Okay, so we're going to use it anywhere, everywhere we go, right? Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys a few of my U-Niquely-U students. And I just randomly picked some of these, and obviously I changed their names just to protect their privacy. But I wanted to just share a little bit about them. So this is U-Niquely-U Tony. And Tony, when he came to me, was working through, I mean, he had some learning differences, and so we were working through some of those learning differences, and he had overcome a lot of different obstacles in his life. And so as we had talked about a lot of these different things that he had overcome, he was a very strong student, those type of things. But when we got down to talking about his essay and what he was going to write, he began telling me a story about where he had done he was he loved the outdoors, and he had done an outward bound experience, and he loved it. And he was talking about his experience and his time. And I mean, just his eyes were lighting up and the passion was there. And so we talked about how that this particular story tied in to all the things that he had been dealing with. And so as we began to write his essay, he started it out and he talked about, he said, accept the challenges so that you can feel the exhilaration of victory. And he used a quote. Now, I'm not saying you should use a quote just when you start your essay. That's not necessary, and it's not always the right thing to do for every student. But for him, this worked. And the reason it worked is because he had dealt with challenges. He had already overcome a lot of different challenges. And he talked about being on this boat and being the captain of it, and that he was in the vastness of this canyon, and it tossed him they were being tossed to and fro, like, in the middle of this situation. And he felt so far away from everything. He said he was 100 miles from nowhere. And then he shifted. So he's telling the story. I can see him on this boat as a person reading this essay. So I see that he's like, oh my goodness, he's on a boat. I'm wanting to know what happened. Where did it go? So then he talks about This one experience gave him so much confidence in himself and his leadership skills that he was able to go back and he made some major changes. And you could see in his academics, everything, where a huge shift had occurred, where everything turned. And then he talked about how this one experience changed him. It made him work harder. It motivated him to take control of his life. And he ended with, life is full of challenges and discoveries, all forward. Now, this particular, you can see as I'm talking about this essay, how this student is telling a story. He's taking us on a journey, and he is tying it into his academics, into everything that he's doing. So when we started looking at his letter of recommendation package, when we looked at his resumes, when we began looking at all of his grades, we could see that progression. We could see that change. We could see how this tied into the major that he was going to be going in. He ended up, I remember when he came, he thought, I'm not going to get accepted anywhere. And even though he had a strong GPA, but he ended up getting into every college he applied to. He ended up getting scholarships and is thriving in college. And so it was so amazing. And what I want to tell you is that a lot of people don't realize, but when we talk about that there are 50,000 kids applying to a university may only have 5 or 10 counselors on staff. Most essays are read by 2 people. So basically what happens is your information goes into the system. It spits out, there are certain algorithms and things to that effect that looks at some of those demographics, your GPA, your test scores, things to that effect. And then it goes into the human hand. Okay. So then the human person is the one that goes back and looks at all of those things, really evaluates, are these numbers correct, or do we need to check, how does this all affect everything? So then that human person is coming in and putting their touch on it. So I'm going to be reading these essays. So you think about, if 50,000 essays are divided out by however many people, or applications in general, and there's multiple essays, and I'm going to read it because you're assigned to me. I'm your counselor that's reading your application, and somebody else is going to just do a quick sweep over it. I don't have a lot of time to spend on any application. The average college admissions counselor spends 7 minutes on every application. That's looking at grades, that's reading essays. I mean, our kids put 50 hours into these and they get 7 minutes. So what happens is that you want to be the person, and if you're around, you think about social media, people use the term stop the scroll. So I'm sitting on my social media and I'm scrolling through, and then all of a sudden something grabs my attention. I stop and I look at it. That's what you want to do in this application. That's why your Uniquely You is so important, because you want to cause me to stop and go, oh, I read this essay and I don't want to just read the first 3 sentences. You've told me everything I need to know. I'm going to jump down to the bottom and check the box, because that's what happens in a lot of students' essays. You want to be the one that causes me, like this student did, to stop and go, what? Wow, this is pretty amazing. And so I want to stop, and then I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to reevaluate those grades more and go, okay, now I see, maybe I want to, readjust the way the numbers came out, because I have the right to do that as a college consultant. And then, a college admissions counselor. And then when I go in to meet with the group as a whole, I'm going to be able to say whether I think you should be accepted, waitlisted, denied, what that looks like. And you want me to be able to say, I really want to fight for Tony because look, he said this and they did this. And I feel like, well, we had this little gap, but look, these grades went up. You want me to be so connected that I'm willing to do that. Or when I'm making decisions, because a lot of these academic scholarships come through the admissions office, but I'm like, oh, this was an amazing, I've had kids actually get letters from the counselors who say, we're adding an extra $1,000 scholarship because your essay really impacted us. And that has happened to probably 4 or 5 kids at least that I've worked with. So These things are really, really important. So that's something just to keep in mind. Okay, so let's talk about another uniquely student. This is Ryan. Ryan had a strong GPA and test scores, but a very weak resume. So he kind of came in his junior year and he wanted to do something in finance, but he really didn't have a lot of interest. So we talked about a program that's a national program called DECA. It's a business program where students can go in, they compete in different areas. We talked about that maybe he should take an accounting class out, during his senior year outside of class. So he went in and took, like, he pulled in an extra like accounting, just general class that he could learn about accounting and finance. I think it was more of a financial class that he took. And when he did the DECA, he ended up going all the way to state, and he was slotted to go to nationals when COVID hit. So, but he literally built out his resume and showed extreme demonstrated interest by just adding a couple of things. And again, he obviously got into the schools that he wanted to get into, which was woohoo exciting. And I was really proud of him. But it was just a matter of going from, I have nothing on my resume, to what can I add? And I see this all the time. So if your student's a senior and you're thinking, wow, the resume is weak, you're not going to be able to make a big impact. But think about what they can do in the next month, or maybe a club or something they're going to join, and they can add that on as, this was my senior year. This is why something that I'm going to do now. And again, I know that some of our, a lot of our resumes are weak because of the year we've had, because of not being able to go out, because of activities being canceled. So you have to begin thinking outside the box. Can you do a research project? What can you do that's going to show your demonstrated interest, show your passion, show really who you are, and tie into all of these things to strengthen that application? Okay. Now, this is U-Niquely-U, Amber. And Amber was amazing. She was number one in her class, perfect SAT, ACT scores. I mean, she both had literally perfect scores. All of those things. She had strong STEM. She started her own medical nonprofit where she created first aid kits for homeless in her town and delivered them, and ended up, by the end of her senior year, started delivering these first aid kits overseas. She ran and oversaw this particular nonprofit, started it herself, and had a student board of directors, which was pretty amazing for a kid who's 18, right, or 17. And she did overseas medical mission trips. So she was like, I'm going into medical. This is what I'm going to do. We began going through talking about her major, where her passions lie, what she's going to do. She had joined the robotics club, and she was super excited because she was going to be part of the robotics club. And she said, they've asked me to do the marketing end, so I think I'm going to do marketing for the robotics. This is her senior year, and we're in the middle of application season. Okay. So they go to the first competition, and the robot for their robotics club didn't even work. Her marketing presentation was scored so high that they moved on to the next level because of her marketing program. After she did that, we began talking. She began talking about how much she loved, the whole idea of marketing, how she loved her nonprofit, how all of these things tied together. And so as we really dived into all of her U-Niquely-U, she decided that really that she wanted to be in business, but then take business and tie that into the medical field at some place in the future versus being a medical doctor. She obviously, like I said on here, got accepted into multiple top ranked colleges, including Ivies, and she ended up receiving a full 4-year scholarship from 3 different universities. Now, again, she was a strong, amazing academic student. But what really made the difference was when we figured out, okay, it could have been easy to say, oh, you've got all this medical stuff. I don't know how this is going to work. Let's just talk about that and hope you get into business. No, we were able to take each of these things. And once she found her passion, once she found what it was that she really wanted to do, what really mattered to her, and we were able to tie and weave that into her application, it suddenly made her come alive. Everybody was like, oh, now I get it. It makes sense. This is who she is. She has a passion for the medical field, but she has an amazing business mind. So, your child may not have started a nonprofit or their own business or something to that effect, and they don't have to. Because I have a lot of students that get into a lot of different universities with and get scholarships without ever, you know, going out and starting a nonprofit or starting those things. But what you want to do is encourage your student to try new things. Trying new things is really a huge deal, especially for our younger kids. They go into high school and they're like, oh, I don't want to join any clubs. I don't want to do these things. But get them to go out and go into try a few different things. If they don't want to be involved in something at school, try something outside of school. I have kids that do teen court who have a real interest in government or in law, that type of thing. I have students that go out and create their own clubs or their own book clubs. Just because your student may never, major in literature or reading or something to that effect, but they love reading, they can start their own reading club. I had a student one time who had read, I forget, I think every year she read like 150 books a year or something to that. I mean, it was an amazing number of books. I don't remember the exact number, but it was amazing. And she came home every day after school and sat and read a book, and basically. And so she talked about that, and she talked about how much literature meant to her. And again, this student was not going in, she actually was going into international business. So it was a completely different thing from the reading, but showing that passion. And she began to talk about books that influenced her, that, really talked about, showed who she was, all of those things. So that's a really important thing to do. Make a list of words that describe them. Have them go ask other people, what are words that describe me? You'll be surprised at how many words they get from, have them ask their friends, their teacher, an adult friend, that, a neighbor, their grandparent. Have them ask a whole variety of people in different ages and from different walks of their life. And you'll be surprised. They'll be surprised at how many of the same words come up. Have them go through and figure out, what are the things that are my core values? What's really important to me? If commitment is like one of their top values, then they want to make sure that when they're talking through their application, that they talk about that commitment is their top value. Why is commitment their top value? If fun, maybe fun, maybe they're just a fun loving, outgoing, super great person and they love to have fun. And that's one of their core values. And you think, well, how are we going to tie that and make that look good, right? But you can, because we still need to have fun. Even on college, we want our kids to have that fun. We want them to be able to have fun and enjoy life. And so if that's their thing, then talk about, how they brought fun into things that may not have been fun or that weren't exciting to begin with, and they got everybody excited about it, because we see that happen all the time. I tell kids, for me, I try really hard to bring fun into this college experience, because it's not. When they're sitting there and they're writing essays and they're trying to go through and they're, it's what we call, we're in the mud and it's just boggy and we're just trudging and pushing to get through all of these pieces, to do all of this stuff. It's very difficult. And so I try to laugh. I try to get them to smile and to relax and enjoy the process, because in all things, we want them to try to find joy as they're going through this process. And I will tell you that some of the best times I had with my own personal children were on college visits when something quirky happened or something funny happened, or, mom made a mistake driving and they, decided that that's going to be the story they tell for the rest of their life, so those type of things really can be impactful. So make sure that you're just remembering that as you're going through this process. Look for leadership opportunities, self leadership. Are they taking leadership? What during COVID, what did they do to show leadership? Now, some of you may be thinking, well, they just sat on the couch, played video games, and did their homework online, and that was about it. And so I know that that may be the surface, but dig a little deeper, help them think about something that they did, or somehow that something that they started learning, or something that maybe they became interested in, some new area and they began to learn about it. So just start digging around. How did they show self leadership? Maybe during COVID, their new job was taking up the trash every Tuesday morning for the family. And so they got up and did that on their own. So they can talk about those type of things. Now, I do want to give you a couple of ideas, because when I talk about aptitudes, I do aptitude testing. It's absolutely something I do and typically include in all of my consulting, my counseling with the students, is I want them to go through that. But you can go to 16personalities.com. This is a Meyer-Briggs kind of condensed version. It's free, and have them go through it and talk through the personality and their personality, because that's going to help you determine their school list, what activities they want to be in. Does that align with majors? If they're super outgoing and they love being around people and all of those things, then they're not going to want to be in a job sitting in a cubicle or behind a desk that they never get to interact. So you want to think through all of those personality pieces to encourage and bring those things into your application. Also, the Strength Finders, that one's not free, but that's also a great resource to go through and to absolutely work on your U-Niquely-U and so forth. So I'm going to take a break here for a second, because I saw there are questions and I want to make sure, sorry, that I see all the questions. Trisha asked, she said, you mentioned, let me put this one up here. She said, you mentioned applying for merit scholarships yesterday. I'd like to know how and where you do that. So Trisha, basically the merit scholarships are going to be applied for through the university. So it depends on the university as to how you're going to do it. So some schools, when you go through and you fill out your application, the merit scholarship information and how much they're going to award you is going to be based on that main scholarship that you're doing. And so if they're applying straight through the university, then sometimes it's that one. Sometimes they have an additional scholarship form that you have to go through. And the schools, when you're in the middle of applications, it'll tell you, like, they always ask, do you want to apply for scholarships? And when you say yes, then it opens up the portal that says, here's the scholarship application. Here are the essay questions, those things. So it can be one of two places. So sometimes it's part of the original, if they're fortunate, and they just use their regular school application that they're applying to the university. And then other times it's a separate one depending on the student. So how's that? So Renee asked what the website for the Strength Finders is. And I think, Debbie, could you just pull that up and drop that into our Facebook group? It's just strength. I don't think it's strengthfinders.com, but it's something to that effect. So I'm looking to make sure. Does anybody else have questions? Because I do want to stop here before we give out our prizes and those things. The big thing I want you to take away is that this really is an opportunity for your student to go above and beyond and really show their show themselves in a way that they're not able to show just in their application. So always tell them, what is it that the school doesn't know about you? They have your resume, so they see that you play football. They may know that you had, you're captain of a team, or that are on the debate team or something to that effect. So they've got that information. But what do they not know about you and the debate team? What do they not know about what you do when you leave school? What do they not know about the things that you really care about? What do they not know about your strengths, your passions, your interests? And how can you bring those into the application process? So right there that is the crust of what you're doing. And it's developing out that uniquely you so that you stand out in the process. Okay. All right. So I want to stop here and just share. So right now we've been together for 4 days, and I love sharing with you. And I love the testimonies and some of the emails. And, somebody had said to me that this wasn't just surface, that I actually give, tangible things. And that is really my heart. You will find that giving is a big part of who I am and what I believe. Being connected is another a big thing for me as well. So being connected, giving, helping our students really go above and beyond and actually not only get accepted, be successful, find their dream schools, and get money as they're going through it, and to help parents really relieve that pressure. So I've had a lot of you ask me about working with me, what I offer, and there's a whole lot to that. So I thought I wanted to share tonight a little bit about my Accepted Academy, because I'm going to give away a prize here in a minute. So somebody's going to win and they need to know what they're winning. But you have two choices. So as you're standing here, you obviously can continue to stay connected with me, continue to pull from the free things that I give within the Facebook groups, within the YouTube, all of that stuff. But I know there are some of you who really do want to have somebody else there guiding you, somebody else that's going to help make sure that you're not missing anything in the process. So as you're standing here, I want to just share the two options. So one, I want to encourage you not to go it alone, period, because there is so much. And I know that so many of you talked about feeling overwhelmed. There's so many things in this process that can just make you feel like, oh my goodness, I don't know how we're going to get through that. Or you feel like you're fighting with your child to get them to get their applications done. And you feel like, okay, if they don't get that acceptance letter, how are you going to handle the tears or the disappointment? And the disappointment is as real for parents as it is for kids. And I can promise you that as a mom, and have been as a person who's been in this industry as long as I am, it is difficult. So the things you need to know is that college admissions experts like myself, we're on campuses on an average of 25 campuses per year. I personally am on about 30 to 50. My goal is always 50. It just depends. I don't always make 50, but I am on a large number of campuses year after year. I am learning about these campuses. I am showing you these campuses in a true behind the scenes way. I know what these college admissions experts are looking for, the college admissions counselors. When things change, I'm there. I know what that is, and I'm feeding that to the families that work with me. So as soon as something in the college admissions process shifts, before anybody else knows, those of us in this industry, we're on top of it, and we're making sure that our students are shifting with that shift immediately. Students who work with experts are 3 times more likely to be successful than those that don't. And a lot of people don't realize, but 35%, and I think that number has increased since last year, of seniors are now working with an expert. And a big reason for that is that our average high school counselor ratio is 476 to 1. That's just crazy. Our college counselors, our high school counselors are amazing. And I'm never negative about our high school counselors, but they have a lot on their plates. Many of them come in for the first first year, and all of a sudden they have a massive amount of seniors that they have to get through this process, and they don't know half of them. They're trying to do all of the state standards. Their plates are loaded. And even in our private schools, sometimes I have a lot of students that come from private schools who say, well, I have a counselor, but I really need somebody else to really just talk with me and walk through it. And that's why we're seeing such an influx. Plus, we have more and more families who are like, I don't understand this process. I don't know this process, whether you're new to the system completely or whether you went through it and it's totally changed since you did. Students get an average of 38 minutes of personal advising over their entire high school career from counselors. That's why working with somebody like myself is really important. And we're going to be able to give you that more personalized advice. And 60%, and this number makes me sad, of public school seniors never receive college counseling. So I don't want you to go it alone. I want to be there and I want to support you and I want to pour into you and your students. So there are ways that you can work with me. So first, Accepted Academy, which I'm going to share with you what that is in a minute. I do have private counseling. You can reach out to me if you're interested in that. And then you can stay connected on social media. But regardless, I want you to stay connected with me because it's important that you are getting correct information and the information you need as it comes available. Okay, so I'm super excited to present to you guys Accepted Academy. This is just one. This is my group coaching valedictorian program, and these kids are all in the middle of. They're actually about 90% through with all of their applications, and we are moving down the road. This was just one page group of them, so I just thought I would share this fun little picture of these kids as they're working. But inside the academy, I have two different distinctive programs. So I want to explain both of them. So one is Purposeful Parent. Purposeful Parent is really a program for you, the parent. And I will tell you that your student is always encouraged. And if they will attend or want to go back and watch videos, this is their process. So we want to pull them in. But sometimes, especially when they're younger, our parents, as parents, we're driving this process to get them moving and going forward. So Purposeful Parent is for the parents. And typically it's for our younger students like 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th graders. I do have a couple of senior parents in there that are only in the Purposeful Parent. Lots of great information, but it's typically that building out. When I talked about why it's important to start early, they're starting early to get those applications built out to help their kids know what they need to know so that they're not missing anything. And then the other program is our valedictorian program, and this is only for seniors. So if you're in the class of 2022, then the valedictorian is for you. And this is a group coaching program for our students. And I'm going to share about both of these programs. So let's talk about Purposeful Parent. Again, I said it, like I said, is for parents of college-bound teens. So what's included? So basically, every month we have a meeting. You get an action plan. Your student, you and your student come in. We have a different topic every month where we're going to dive in and talk about what is relevant for your student at that moment. What is on the timeline? What should they be doing as a freshman, a sophomore, or a junior? Or maybe what's important, we did have one time where we dove in. I have a psychology background, so we talked about mental health a little bit and how to help our students as they're transitioning back into school to be successful, because what we don't want to see is them fall as they're coming back and trying to get their feet back under them. So there are different things that we talk about that are very relevant and very important for your students. These are always recorded. So if you're not able to attend live, you can always come back and watch it on the recording later and get a ton of information. All of the things that would be included with it are added to that recording, so you get to go back and watch it. I do have member only events. So if I do a special event that's going to be paid, that's, for outside people, then our members always get to come for free. I bring in guest experts. During October, I have people come in and talk about paying for college and how to deal with the FAFSA and all of those things. There's a resource vault that has all kinds of recordings and different things that you can go back and pull from the College Secrets book. It's got a community. And one of the big things is that there is a scholarship training for outside scholarships. I will tell you, outside scholarships are hard. The sooner you start, the sooner you put a plan in place, the more successful you're going to be. And it also includes access to a database that I pay for that is not many scholarship databases. When they data mine your information and they turn around and sell it off to all these companies, and that's why your child gets 4,000 pieces of mail and email and junk mail when they're applying on these scholarships. So this is a non-advertising private database that does not happen in, and it pulls all of the scholarships in so that your student can go through, research, and look. So as long as you're part of the program, you get access to that database. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. It is like I said, it's not high time intensive because it's once a month that you're meeting live, but you get all of these resources. You're able to ask questions in our private Facebook group, and I'm there to help you and make sure that you're getting all your questions answered. I have, sometimes maybe you have a question about your student's class schedule, something happened, and you can go in and ask that, and I will advise you in that group. So it is a great place to get questions answered and not feel alone in the process. So I want to just share this is a value of over $6,000. It really and truly is. And this is basically to be part of the Purposeful Parent. It is $99 a month. That's it. $99 a month for the database, for the scholarship course, for the Accepted Academy Vault, which has worksheets and templates and all kinds of tools and resources in there. It includes your monthly game plan plus meetings with me each month where I'm going through. And then I'm also offering a limited time bonus. So I not only do this is only offered when I do these live trainings. And so if you decide to join Purposeful Parent between now and Saturday, when we end our training on Saturday at noon, my time, then you get 3 hours of private consulting, and you can use those anytime you want, as long as you're part of the monthly membership. So you can say, oh my goodness, I need to spend 30 minutes with you, Gina, because we're stressed out about this, or we don't know what to do about that. And so you can break those hours up. And as long as you're part of the membership every month, you can come in and you can use those hours over that time with me whenever you need them. So by joining now, you get those 3 hours of private consulting, and that is a huge value. So I know that it may be like, oh, that's $99 a month, but what you're going to get, the fact that if your student goes in and finds one scholarship every month, you're going to more than pay for that. Now, I'm not going to promise you they're going to find a scholarship every month, because outside scholarships are really hard. Maybe they find one that covers a whole year's worth for you, but they're, or even just lowers their cost. But more than that, they're going to be poised to actually go in and win those big dollars from the merit aid scholarships. That's the huge part. Okay, so that's a little bit about Purposeful Parent. And tonight I'm going to do a drawing, and somebody is going to win 1 year inside of Purposeful Parent with me. So if you want to win, say woohoo in the comments. I'm sure that everybody's excited. Everybody wants to win this. So hopefully your name will be on the wheel and you get to be one of the people that possibly wins this. So I want to make sure I'm not missing any new comments as we're going. I think we're good. Okay, now, class of 22. So seniors, you're like, okay, this is great, but we need to get applications done. We are in overload. My mind is, just blowing up. I don't know what to write in my essays. I need to get my child moving forward. All of those things that we're feeling crazy about in the call. I see all these woohoos. Yay. So somebody's going to win that. So let's talk about what the valedictorian program is. So the valedictorian program is a very personalized group consulting program. So myself, my team, we walk your kids step by step through the entire application process, from making sure that they have the right college list, giving you all the tools that you need to develop out that list, to stay organized, to get every essay written, edited, sent back so that they're strong, that you know where to find the Common App, where you find the Coalition app, if you're going through the California app, whatever that is, we are making sure that the application is completed, done, and that your Uniquely You is standing out in the process. And like I said, I went through this. The picture that I shared earlier were just a small handful of the kids who've been inside of the valedictorian. It is a very personalized group. While it is group coaching, you would be surprised at the amount of personalization that your student gets, and even one-on-one time within the group sessions to make sure they're getting their application done. They will have a game plan that allows them to get this done, stand out, and show their Uniquely You. No more worrying that you don't know what you don't know, and your student is you're going to have the confidence that your team needs to be successful in the process. So that is basically the valedictorian. So let me share with you what's in that. So first of all, there's monthly group training calls. You get to be part of Purposeful Parent. Every person in the valedictorian program is part of Purposeful Parent automatically. Because we're coming in, we're working with this group a little bit differently, because we're coming in at a point where you should have already, maybe you have started some of the applications, maybe you're in the middle of them, maybe you're stuck, maybe you haven't even started, maybe you're questioning now, do I have the right list? What do I need to be doing? So starting on next Sunday, not this Sunday, but what is it, August the 30th or whatever the last Sunday of the month is, we're going to kick off 10 weeks to done. So every week on Sunday afternoons at 4 p.m. Central Time. So that's 2 p.m. on the Pacific Time and 5 p.m. on Eastern Standard. And I do them on Sundays because that seems to be the one time that 98% of our kids can always be at these meetings. So we're going to take you step by step through these 10 weeks of making sure they've got their applications, the right college list. We're going to develop their Uniquely You. We're going to fill out the applications. We're going to do the essays. We're going to edit those essays. We're going to do the supplementals. All of those things will be done. So the goal is that hopefully your student by the end of 10 weeks has applied to the majority, if not all, of their universities. After the 10 weeks, then we shift into, depending on where the students are, we may be meeting every other week. We may still meet on Sundays for a few more weeks if we need to shore up anything for any student that's still trying to finish everything up. And then once all applications are gone, we go into monthly to bi-monthly meetings, because at that point, once the applications are gone, we're going to talk about what happens if they're deferred. There is a FAFSA and financial aid stuff that I do for parents within that. We're going to talk about how to read and understand your award letters. What happens if your child gets waitlisted? What happens if you get your award letter and you need to go back and ask for more money? All of those things I teach in those weeks afterwards. We're just not meeting on a regular basis, because once a weekly basis, let me put that way. We're not meeting on a weekly basis because the applications are gone. But if your student needs to be doing interviews, they're going to attend the interview class. If they don't need to do interviews, they don't attend it. So then it becomes more of, which things does your student need to attend? Every class is recorded, and I will tell you that with my current group of students that have been working with me since the spring, I've had a lot of kids who weren't able to meet because they were on a summer trip or this or that. They have access to the recordings. They go back, they do the recordings, and I'm staying in touch to make sure that they're getting whatever done that they missed, and make sure if they have any questions, they're getting them answered. You get access to Guided Path, which is my college planning software. which is an amazing product. And I'll be showing you that on Monday night as we're building out our college list together. The review of the personal essay, the supplemental essays, timeline, task, assignments. I mean, there's just so much information. Of course, you get the scholarship database, all of these things. When I say this is a comprehensive group coaching program, it truly is. It is everything that I do in my one-on-one, but it's done in a group process. And our kids, we have kids that are introverts, kids that are extroverts, and every student gets what they need and no student gets lost. They keep their cameras on and it's great. So this value, if you got all of this, if you went out and bought all of this independently from consultants, you would be spending over $11,000. And so I do this program for $39.97 because I'm trying to make it more affordable, because I know one-on-one consulting is expensive. And so the program for now, I'm here with you now all the way through May. When you make that final decision, you put down those deposits and your kid says, yes, here's my accepted and I'm ready to head off to college. So it is $39.97 for all of those things. So Miss Debbie can drop the link in the chat, but it's at acceptedacademy.com. So if you're on YouTube, I want to make sure she'll drop it in both places, so we make sure that you get that. Yeah, Glenda, thank you. It really is an amazing program, and I'm very proud of it because I'm able to really connect, and I just get really close to these kids, and I love seeing them all being super successful. And I did want to share with this one, there are 2 payment options because I know it's more pricey. So you can pay it in full, or you can pay it in 4 payments of $10.50 if that's a better option for you. We do take credit cards, all of those things. But I would love for your student to be part of the valedictorian. And I will tell you that I am only opening it right now for this group. After this we end, it will stay open through Monday night. After that point, it will not be open, and I'm not going to reopen it because we are in the throes of college admissions. Waiting a month is too late for our kids. And so unfortunately, or fortunately for you guys, this is the only time I'm going to open it again until next year when we open it for our juniors, which if you're in prepared purposeful parent, you definitely get first chance at getting in before I open it to anybody else. I should say that as well. So this is your only opportunity to really get into this program this year. So if you're a senior, it's absolutely the right time. And again, the same thing, the 3 hours of private consulting on top of everything else for the valedictorian, it's here as well, as long as you sign up before noon on Central Standard Time. And if you have questions, I definitely want to be able to answer those as well. I wanted to share a couple of testimonies. This is Jennifer. Her son, Ethan, was accepted to a ton of different universities. His number one, UMass Amherst, is where he ended up going. He was part of the program last year. He actually ended up with more than 16. She wrote this, and then he ended up, I think, with closer to like 28,000 in merit and scholarship from the university. And so he was definitely very excited and is headed off to UMass right now as we speak. And then I want to just take a moment. This is a current student who is right now in my valedictorian program. And her and her mom did this really 1-minute little video. And I want to share this with you because I want you to hear from a student and a parent, and it's not just coming from me. So just give me 1 second.
Hi, my name is Ariana Sharif. I'm currently a senior in high school. I joined Dr. Gina's valedictorian program this past spring because I honestly didn't know much about the college admissions process. I was very lost, and in my school, the students don't get that much help when it comes to their applications. So as of now, application season has already opened, and I feel really good about where I stand right now because I have gotten a lot of things done that most of my friends haven't yet. And Dr. Gina is really good at guiding us through what to do.
I totally am blessed to have found Dr. Gina. She has facilitated this process and is pretty much with us throughout the whole journey. And being a first timer going through this, I think it's just answered a lot of my questions as a parent. In terms of, you know, the interaction with Dr. Gina Lester, I mean, her interactions are, you know, both group-based and also one-on-one. And if there's any questions, and, you know, we can email her, she responds right away. So I'm just blessed to be a part of this program. And I encourage all of the parents out there to take advantage of her services. You won't regret it. Thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you just so you could kind of hear from parents that, you know, and know that what I'm saying and what I share that's going to be in the program really is what's in the program. So, you know, I do want you to feel less stressed, more confident, and I will be by your side every step of the way. When you work with me in my programs, you become part of my family. That's just the way I am and who I am and how I approach things. So I hope that you will seriously consider it. And if you have seniors, I would love to have you in the valedictorian. If you're younger and you want to join Purposeful Parent, I would love to have you there too. I also, this is the website, but I also want to just let you know if you have questions, because I know it can be a commitment. Maybe you have a specific question about something. Just send me an email and I will be glad to answer it. So if you have questions about the programs, about Accepted Academy or Purposeful Parent, just feel free to reach out. And I am going to plan tomorrow to go live during the day, probably around 11 o'clock or so Central Time. I know many of you are at work and those type of things, but I'm just going to go live in our groups. If you have questions about the Academy or you want to answer them, you can, or ask them, you can definitely come there and ask as well. So I'm going to take a deep breath and make sure, do we have any questions? Yes, Michelle, I do give advice on transcripts. So give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and make sure I'm getting all the questions. So yes, I do help with appeals on the FAFSA. So like I said, I'm not a financial planner, so I can't give you financial advice, but I do walk you through how to do an appeal and what kind of appeal, you know, what they're looking for and what you need to do. If that is something that's, you know, going to be a big part of it. So Christine asks, what percentage of students get scholarships after enrolling in your program? You know, a large percent. Unfortunately, I cannot guarantee anything because I can't guarantee they're going to get into a school. I can't guarantee they're going to get a scholarship because that's out of my hands. And I'm not legally able to call a school and say, hey, I want your student to, this is my kid, I want them to get in, or, you know, I want this student to get a scholarship. But I will tell you, if your student, especially if they're going to the schools that give merit aid, some of the state schools just don't give a lot of merit aid. So it doesn't matter. You're going to not get a lot from some of the state universities, but the private universities, the schools that do give merit aid, things to that effect, then a lot of my students, I would say probably 95% of my students walk away with scholarships, and most of them walk away with scholarships that more than pay for the programs and being part of it. So as you can see, you know, from just the list above, like I was showing you, there are a lot of my families that get, you know, 25, 15, 30, $40,000 in scholarship money up to full rides, depending on the student and their academics. So just so you know, the academics do play a part in that. And so I have no control over your child's academics. But what I definitely do is take those academics, strengthen out that application so that they're better poised to get those scholarships and get that money for sure. And then again, you know, we do talk a lot about the private scholarships. Those are much more difficult to get, but there's all the tools and all the resources that you need to help your student apply for those. Let me see, do we have any other questions that anybody has before I do our drawing? I am like super excited to give away the Purposeful Parent Program. And so if you'll give me 1 second, I'm going to pull up our will, and I am going to, let me get the screen, and I'm going to share the will. And when I do, we're going to do our drawing and see who wins that. So is everybody ready to see who wins? I am. I'm excited to see who the new Purposeful Parent is that's going to be part of this with me. So here we go. Georgette. Woohoo! So Georgette, are you here? If you are in, if you are in the Facebook group, or if you're on YouTube, let me know. Give me a shout out. I'm excited. I want to make, my will went away. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Let me pull up my name, all of y'all's names again. I don't want to miss that. So we're excited that Georgette won. And so we will reach out to her if she is not in the group. I was trying to see if she's here. We get congrats. And you know what? I don't want to walk away without, I'll give away 2 books tonight. Okay. Because I do want, and everybody gets a book if you join my program anyway. But so that's something that you just get to have, because this helps guide you through all of that process. So let's do a couple of books. So Miss Debbie, if you'll make sure to put congrats inside of all of the things. So let's give away a couple of books. Susan Jensen. Is Susan here? I kind of feel like Susan's here. I thought I saw her name. Maybe I didn't, but I feel like Susan's here. So Susan, if you are here on YouTube or Facebook, then give a shout out. And let's give away one more book. Lana. So, and I do think Lana's here too. I feel like I saw Lana's name as well. I think Lana, were you maybe on YouTube? I can't remember, but congratulations to all of those. We will be reaching out to you. If you're here, then please send me a private message or a Facebook message, or email me with your address so I can get that to you. I'm super pumped for all of our winners tonight. Now, again, like I said, on Saturday morning, I want you to be here at 9 a.m. if you're on the West Coast Pacific time, 10 o'clock if you're on Mountain time, and then we have 11 o'clock for us here on the Central time, and 12 for Eastern, and we're going to give away a scholarship package. So I just saw Michelle ask a question. She's a little confused. In the colleges we've talked to, they have full ride options, but you meet certain criteria, and then, let me see. Then they put you in a competing interview process and give away a few merit scholarships. So gone are the days of getting 1,500, 1,600 essay scores and getting colleges reaching out to you. Okay, so yes, Michelle, basically what happens in the merit scholarships is it's not based strictly on, oh, I've got this great essay, and I've got this great GPA, and I've got this great test score, so I'm automatically going to get a scholarship. There are some schools that still base that on there. If you do not have a test score, you're not going to get merit aid. That's just not going to happen. But it depends on the school, and it depends on the amount of money. So when it becomes a full ride scholarship, your student will compete in that interview. They will compete as far as writing essays. They're going to have to go through a whole nother process. And then that process, when they go through it, they break it down to determine how many students are going to get that. So like the little girl from TCU that I shared a minute ago about. So she went through the process. The program that she got the full ride from, they only picked 6. That was it, 6. And so you've got to be able to know how to go into those interviews, how to go into those events, how to write the essays when they want those particular, when you're going for those full rides. So there's a difference in like a full ride scholarship versus some of the others. So some colleges give honor scholarships. So if your student applies to the honors college, they'll give them a scholarship. Others don't. Some colleges, they give, depending on your department. So sometimes they'll give a STEM scholarship award for anybody going into STEM. Or if your students in competing in the arts, they can get scholarships based on their portfolios. So there's a lot of different ways that they pull money in on those merit-based or talent-based scholarships. And there are a few colleges that are less competitive, that are smaller, where they do base it still for the most part on your academic, your GPA, and your test score, but it's not a full ride. What they'll say is that if you meet this test score and this GPA, you're going to get this merit scholarship. That's why the U-Niquely-U is so important. It really is critical, because when your student goes into those interviews, when they're at a level, if they have a perfect test score and they have a perfect, a high GPA, and they have all of these activities, and they go in and they're competing, you have to know they're competing against all these kids that have the same strength that they do. So how are they going to stand out? And that's how they're going to stand out, is by using that U-Niquely-U for sure. So that's a big part of it. So perfect. So hopefully that helps kind of relieve a little bit of the, explain that a little bit. And Georgette, yes, you just won. So if you can send me an email with your address, that would be what I need. And I will be reaching out to you. Lana, yes, she said, congratulations on winning the book. Thank you. Yeah. So if you won, reach out to me so I can make sure you get your book. And I will be reaching out to you for to our winner for the Purposeful Parent, and I will get you onboarded. And if there are questions that anybody needs that, like I said, that has to do with the valedictorian, the Purposeful Parent joining, again, Debbie will put up my Miss Debbie, who's been amazing in the comments helping me. She will put up a post tonight with the link. All of those things takes you there. It goes into a little more detail about everything that's there, but definitely reach out to me if you have questions of any kind, because I want to make sure that those questions are being answered as far as the programs go. If there's confusion, if you're trying to determine which ones that are out there. So yeah, I'm super, super excited, and I can't wait to share with you guys. I'm going to do a live tomorrow again, just to answer questions about the program. If you have questions about college admissions in general, if you're available, hop on. I would love to do that. That would be 11 Central tomorrow, my time. It's informal. It's just a quick Q&A. It'll probably just be 15 or 20 minutes. I'm trying to hit during maybe lunch hours or something to that effect, but no meeting tomorrow night, and Saturday morning. That's our big one. So all of those questions around the resume, around when to apply, where the applications are, what is a letter of recommendation packet and what does that mean? We're going to go into all of those things on Saturday. Okay. And I will hopefully help, get all of the confusion from that part taken away so that you feel more confident. So again, thank you for being here tonight. I really hope that you will consider joining me for Purposeful Parent or the valedictorian, whichever is the best program for you. I would love, love, love to have you, but it is great. Congratulations to our winners. I hope you have a great evening, a great Friday evening, and I will see you all on Monday. So have a great evening, and thank you for all the love in the comments and saying that they can't wait to be here on Saturday and they'll see me then, and you love all the information. So you're welcome, and I will see you guys on Saturday. So bye for now.